A gout is a form of inflammatory arthritis that can result in pain, discomfort, redness, and inflammation. Gout can also cause joints to become increasingly inflamed. Modifying your diet in specific ways can assist in the management of symptoms and the prevention of flares. Here are some foods to avoid that increase uric acid. Number 7. Alcohol. Since ancient times, drinking alcohol has been considered a risk factor for developing gout. It's well established that drinking alcohol on a frequent basis and in quantities that are considered to be excessive results in the development of chronic hyperuricemia. This in turn increases the probability of developing gout and having bouts of the condition. Because of this, it's highly recommended that you do not consume any alcohol at all. This includes beer, hard liquor, and any other grain alcohol. However, the results of a new study suggest that someone who suffers from gout does not need to fully abstain from alcohol consumption. Wine might not be associated with an increased risk of gout if it's eaten in moderation and with meals, rather than on its own, rather than drinking it on an empty stomach. Moderation in wine consumption is generally thought of as having no more than 2 drinks per day for males and no more than 1 drink per day for women. Number 6. Foods that contain a high level of purine. By avoiding or reducing foods that are strong in purines, it's possible to lessen the severity of a gout attack, as well as the risks that the condition will repeat. According to the findings of a study that was carried out in 2014, people who previously had gout had an increased risk of getting recurring attacks of gout when they consumed acute purines. This risk was roughly 5 times higher than the average risk. Examples of foods that are rich in purine content are as follows. There are several kinds of liquor, as well as beer, that fall within the category of alcoholic beverages. There is significant concentration of mercury in certain types of seafood, such as anchovies, sardines, shellfish, and tuna. A form of corn syrup that has significant amounts of fructose. Fruits and liquids contain a substantial amount of fructose. Foods derived from the internal organs of animals, such as livers from cows, hogs, and chickens. Number 5. Foods that contain a substantial amount of fructose. Fructose is a kind of sugar that is produced by plants and is found in fruits, vegetables, and other plant-based foods. Fructose also exists naturally in the human body. According to the findings of research that is carried out on this topic, consumption of fructose, particularly high fructose corn syrup, which is included in a variety of foods and beverages, is associated with an increase in serum uric acid levels. Those who suffer from gout may discover that avoiding or limiting meals that are high in particular types of carbohydrates might provide some relief from the symptoms of their disease, as well as the severity of the disease itself. Fructose is the name of one of the principal naturally occurring sugars that can be discovered in a wide variety of fruit and fruit juices. On the other hand, there is not sufficient data to make a definite connection between eating fruit and gout. You don't have to exclude all fruit from your diet in order to follow a diet that's beneficial for gout. Nevertheless, certain fruit juices may need to be avoided altogether or consumed in moderation. It has been demonstrated that drinking beverages with a high sugar content can cause an increase in the amounts of uric acid found in the blood. The consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages was found to have a significant connection with an increased risk of gout and hyperuricemia in adults, as determined by an analysis of a study that was carried out in the year 2020. In many types of sweetened beverages, you'll find high fructose corn syrup listed as an ingredient. This encompasses carbonated beverages like soda and other soft drinks, in addition to sports drinks and other types of energy drinks. If you suffer from gout, you should stay away from these foods. Number 4. Yeast. If you suffer from gout, you should steer clear of yeasts and yeast extracts as much as possible in your diet. This is because yeast and yeast extracts contain a significant amount of purines. A healthy level of uric acid can be maintained in the body by avoiding certain foods and supplements, such as Vegemite and vitamins that contain yeast. This is a crucial step that you can take. Yeast extracts can be found in a wide variety of prepared foods, such as salted snacks, canned soups and stews, salty snacks, and soy sauces. Some frozen meals also contain yeast extracts. Brewer's yeast is the primary component necessary for the fermentation process that turns sugar into alcohol in beer. There are many different strains of yeast, each of which can provide a distinctive flavor and scent to the finished product. In case you are wondering, the choice of hops and malt really has a greater impact on the flavor and color of the beer than does the yeast. People who suffer from gout will find that the nutrition value of brewer's yeast, which includes the fact that it can make digestion easier and offer energy, is not sufficient to compensate for the condition's most significant downside. It has a significant amount of purines in its composition. Because of this, brewer's yeast is essential to the production of beer, but unfortunately, it also causes an increase in uric acid levels. Purines are the key factor that kicks off the internal chain reaction that leads to an episode of gout. You may already be aware of the fact. Generally speaking, purines can be found in the same kinds of foods as proteins. They trigger the production of uric acid in your body after being digested and absorbed. Gout is a painful condition that occurs when an excessive amount of uric acid crystallizes and builds up in a person's joints. Number 3. Soft drinks. However, the fact that drinking beverages, sweetened with sugar and accordingly fructose, considerably increase your chance of developing gout does not suggest that you should switch to drinking diet soft drinks in order to avoid the condition. If you want to quench your thirst, instead of drinking plain water, try sparkling mineral water with a few drops of fresh lemon, lime, or orange juice poured into it. This is a much more flavorful alternative to drinking plain water. It's also a lot better for one's ability to keep their weight under control and stay hydrated. Number 2. Red meat. It's possible that the high purine content of red meat like beef and lamb is one factor that contributes to the buildup of uric acid in the body. Another sort of game meat that should be consumed in moderation in your diet is dark meat, which can be from rabbits, kangaroo, or deer. Instead, you should make it a priority to reduce the quantity of meat and consume on a weekly basis to just a few modest pieces and concentrate on increasing the proportion of your diet that's comprised of plant-based foods. Number 1. Certain vegetables. Vegetables are not featured on the list of foods that individuals who suffer from gout should avoid eating. This is because the great majority of vegetables fall into the category of low purine diets. People who have gout should avoid eating certain vegetables that have a moderate level of purines, since eating these vegetables can bring on an attack. The vegetables in question contain a moderate amount of purines. Moderate purine veggies include asparagus, spinach, cauliflower, mushrooms. The fact that these vegetables have low to medium levels of purines means that those who suffer from gout would not necessarily need to avoid eating them just because of the purine content. There's no link between the purines found in vegetables and an increased likelihood of developing gout or experiencing recurrent attacks of the ailment. Oxalates are another sort of naturally occurring molecule that, in the same way as purines do, lead to an increase in the total quantity of uric acid that's located inside the body. Oxalates are found in vegetables like rhubarb, turnips, beets, and okra. These foods all fall within the category of vegetables. As a consequence of this, there's some evidence to support the theory that consuming beetroot is associated with an increased risk of gout. If you suffer from gout, you should probably avoid eating beetroot because it contains a high level of the mineral oxalate. Okra is a good example of this as well. In spite of the fact that okra is healthy for many other aspects of health, it should not be consumed if you suffer from gout. Because vegetables include purines and oxalates, your doctor may recommend that you reduce the number of vegetables you eat if you have gout. Oxalates are also found in vegetables. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.